What if you could help others to find the power to heal themselves? Physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
When I started teaching my classes, it was in 2002, and I was just doing the past life regressions and contacting the subconscious part. But then as the time went on and we found how powerful this was and what we could do with it, a lot of the students began saying, you know, advanced past life regression doesn't really tell what it's all about. This is so much more than that. We think you should change the name. So it was a few years ago we decided to change the name to Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. And this is the healing technique that we've now been teaching it, well, since 2002, that's 12 years.
What if you could time travel with them? Visit mythical places or angelic realms, other worlds, other galaxies. Help others to speak to their higher selves. You can. Dolores has taught thousands of people from across the world how to use QHHT, and now you can learn her method by going directly to dolorescannon.com. And don't forget to mention the discount code MORETALKS.
Established over 100 years ago, Watkins Books is one of the world's oldest and leading independent bookshops specializing in esoterica. We have the widest selection of esoteric books in the UK, and our friendly and knowledgeable staff are here to assist you in a unique ambience of our shop. So come and visit us in the heart of London as we're open every day.
Does your book, film, resource, product, or business change people's lives for the better? Hi, I'm Jackie Lappin, founder of Conscious Media Relations, a unique boutique PR firm that helps you connect with your mind, body, spirit, and conscious lifestyle audience in a big way. We reach 3,500 specialty media and all the key mainstream outlets in the United States. I invite you to explore our radio media tour that connects to 2,600 personal growth radio shows. There is just nothing else like it. Come check out our website and read our rave reviews.
The comments and views expressed on The More Show are those of the people that make them and do not necessarily reflect the view of Kevin Moore, The More Show, or this radio station and its affiliate or sponsors. This show is for entertainment purposes only.
Broadcasting from the UK and across the world online, you're now watching the UK's only alternative late night talk show, and I'm your host, Kevin Moore. For the next hour, I'll be covering subjects that will open up your mind and provide you with information you may have never heard before. On today's show, I'm joined with Aleya Dao. Now, Aleya is an author, sound healer, and energetic practitioner, a minister in the state of California, doctor of Oriental Medicine in New Mexico, and an alternative healer for over 20 years. She graduated from Lewis and Clark University in Portland, Oregon, and earned her master's degree in Oriental Medicine. In 2001, Aleya had an enlightened experience which enabled her to perceive other realms and hear the angelic beings and increased her empathic and clairvoyant abilities. Now Sounds True released her Light Body Healing album in August of 2014, and she joins us today to discuss her first book, 7 Cups of Consciousness. Change your life by connecting to the higher realms. Aleya Dao, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you on. And just for the audience, you're in California?
Yes, I am today.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Nice weather there today?
It's lovely.
We've had nothing but rain today back in England, so
we've had nothing but sun, so we'll send some your way.
Please do, please do. It's a great place, California, and then, whenever I go to the States, I always do try to go to California if I can do. Mainly LA for some reason. I don't know why that is.
It's a hub.
Yeah, I think it could be. I said that to someone else on a previous interview. I'm pretty sure it is. Do you know that?
Definitely.
Yeah, I get that intuitive feeling. Now, this is going to be a very interesting interview, and it's tough sometimes because there's never enough time in this realm to give it the justice, but there's loads of great links that we're about to put on screen right now, all to do with yourself as well. Before we get into just a bit about yourself as well, this will lead into it, but the 7 cups of consciousness change your life by connecting to the higher realms. Where did you get the inspiration initially to write this book? And also, what is the actual emphasis for the work as well, for the book, for people?
The initial burst of energy and fuel came from an enlightenment experience that I had in 2001. And when that occurred, my awareness of other dimensions radically shifted. I actually perceived beings in other realms. I could feel the guides, hear the angels singing, and could also feel other people's feelings and hear their thoughts. And I really desperately needed a framework to put this level of sensitivity into without going crazy. So that was the initial spark. And then from that, I developed these 7 concepts for changing the life that I was living internally and externally, and then started sharing that with my clients, subscribers, my students, and I've actually been teaching these 7 concepts for over a decade.
Now, going back prior to 2001, it probably seemed like a past life in a sense, but what were you doing pre this? Who was Aleya prior to this awakening experience? I
was still in that stream of alternative thinking. Actually, at the age of 20, I became a massage therapist, and then I became a Reiki master, and then when I went on and got my master's in Oriental medicine. And so from that perspective, I had already been immersed in alternative thought, meditation. I had been exploring possibilities of enlightenment experiences. But as I studied those enlightenment experiences in books and talked to people about their own personal experiences, it was nothing could have prepared me for what happened in 2001.
What would you say is the most important message of your work?
I would say that the work is really guidelines, a map for how to integrate higher levels of awareness, cultivate greater degrees of awareness, evolve your consciousness in an empowered way. It brings clarity. It brings a deeper level of peace and connection to your essence. So that's really the essence of the work, of to release a life of struggle and to move into one of flow, gentleness, and grace.
And what would you say, I mean, I'm not trying to pull your work apart here in any way, just trying to get the basis of it as well. What would you say makes your work different to some other authors in the same field out there from your work?
That is an excellent question. And the thing that makes my work different is that we are using the imagination a little bit, but that's only step 1. And the piece that a lot of other people don't have in their work is that we are employing the higher self, energy self, to do the work in the higher realms. We let go at a mind level. We are not holding mudras or chanting mantras. We are simply making a very specific, direct request to your energy self to actualize a very particular vibration, consciousness, stance, emotion, quality inside you in a higher realm, and then you actually experience that reflection of that shift of energy in a higher plane in the physical one. And a lot of the spiritual work talks about holding a particular thought form or engaging in a particular emotion, but it doesn't employ the energy self in that very direct way with that specific request and then the release, the allowing, and then the reflection phenomenon.
So are you saying there that actually by going into these higher dimensions where the soul comes from, and we'll get into all this as well, we will, just in a bit, are you saying then that by going to the soul level, you're then fixing whatever issues that you're looking for on the earth plane? By going to the soul level, doing whatever you may need to do there to bring the solutions forward. Is that what you're kind of saying?
You are using the physical dimension the way you would see your cards on a table. And then you go, oh, look, I have issues of lack. I have issues of fear. I have issues of loss. Then you bring your awareness internally into your inner realm, what I call the divine line, and you begin to actualize and activate the vibration of the solution internally, which then changes the cards on the table.
Right, so you could say, in a sense, you're saying, okay, whatever issues I have right now that really bug me, that really, I spend time dwelling on that, the unhappiness that those issues cause me, your work can help you heal those issues, basically.
Yes, if you are willing and ready to look at those pieces, and we can only change that which we're conscious of and aware of. So if you're not even aware that you're in a state of fear, or you fear abandonment, then there's no way you can start changing it. But when you are in a particular behavior or a situation has happened in your life and you get to the place of like, that's it, I can't take it anymore, I don't want this to happen again, then we're ready to do the inner work to change the outer world. We are not focusing on the physical dimension to change the physical dimension. We're simply using the physical dimension as a trigger and an indicator of what we're holding inside.
Right. And why would we hold something like that inside, do you think?
I think all souls are determined to attain very particular qualities and vibrations inside themselves. And when they're at a certain point in their evolution, they will actually do the opposite of what they're intending on mastering. So I will be in a state of lack in order to master abundance. I will be a victim in order to master empowerment. Now, that's a very uncomfortable cycle, and being a victim or being in lack or being in fear is a really great way to wake up. It's uncomfortable. It's like a pebble in the shoe. And so that discomfort awakens the soul to the possibility there is another way to be. We get to our tipping point, our flipping point, where we can't take it anymore, and then we get to use our free will and choice with this greater self-awareness of a particular behavior and pattern. And then we begin to practice what it is our soul is really intending on embodying deep inside. And there is an inner river of light. I call it the divine line. And so when we come here into this world, my little grocery list agenda might be, I really want to use this incarnation to cultivate greater clarity and connection in my divine line. So I will engage in situations that are not clear and that are disconnected, forcing me to see where I want to cultivate greater clarity and connection inside me. When I start doing that intentionally, it starts happening in a much more efficient manner.
So, okay, so then issues that we go through in this life, for example, whatever that may be that we have, and we've all on individual unique paths. If we could see them in an opposing light, in the sense that they're here to teach us something, then every experience is not wasted, in a sense, then, is it? That everything that we go through is for a reason.
It's an opportunity.
But it's an opportunity. That's right. And when we see it from that different perspective, we were like, okay, well, it wasn't what I thought it was. It wasn't, yes, it was painful, but it was there for a reason. Where does your work come into it once you've had that enlightenment moment, would you say?
Then you actually use your higher self energy self to shift the energy inside you. So if you're holding fear inside you, you would invite your higher self to activate the vibration of trust or empowerment, whatever the solution might be. So we're really focusing more on qualities and particular vibrations as opposed to specific 3D outcomes. And so when you use it that way, then you start practicing what you intend to master. And the key piece with every challenge that shows up in your life is it is an opportunity. And here's the rub. Are you going to take it? Are you going to milk it for all it's worth so that it doesn't have to appear again? And are you going to start practicing that which you intend to master instead of doing the opposite?
Right. Okay. Okay. Now yeah, I've kind of gone round the houses here a bit, rather than starting the interview off on tell us about yourself. How did it all start? I just think it's important, just with your work, just to get this established, because there's many levels to your work, and I think it just needs that as well, because it's great work what you're doing, and that there is a really clear path here to actual, not just enlightenment, but also to healing as well, which is the purpose of what you're trying to do. Okay, well, just starting from the beginning here then again. Now, when you had your moment of clarity, this awakening experience, for example, would you say you could have walked away from it at that point? And do we all have points in our life where there comes along a situation, a spiritual situation, where we can go down a completely different road if we so choose to, and use our healing powers or whatever it may be? For myself, it's channeling. I chose to go down that road because the door opened for me. Do we all have these aha moments sometimes where life can change?
Absolutely. I think of it as the crossroads. But then there is also the cosmic 2x4, where you get smacked and there is no way back. You have a different perception and you can't turn it off. And to recognize that it wasn't the universe creating it or God or a guide, but it was your soul that is determined to spiritually grow and evolve using whatever mechanism you put on your path. Now you get to choose the mechanism. And so for me, when I had that enlightenment experience during that healing session in 2000 and 2001, there was no turning back. When you feel another person's feelings, when you hear their thoughts, when you feel a guide giving you guidance and telling you actually what's going to happen 30 seconds later, you can't really deny it. And so fortunately, I had this angelic support, which is one of the reasons why I wrote the book, because I realized that not everybody has an angelic Bluetooth headset.
Oh no, that's right. I mean, all gifts are different, aren't they? And that's right. And that's quite a unique gift that you've got. How did family members receive you at that time as well, and friends, when you were going through this sort of shift, in a sense?
Some people were in awe, jealous, threatened. My brother wanted to put me in the crazy farm for just a few weeks, but his girlfriend talked him off that ledge. And I tried to hold that wisdom and that shift deep inside. I took a lot of alone time, and eventually I ended up moving away to a different state. I actually moved to California from Colorado, but maintained a lot of my friendships, but in a different way, because I had a different perspective and I also had a different level of sensitivity. And so some friends, it just wasn't appropriate to hang out with them because of the level of empathic sensitivity that I experienced. And I had not yet figured out how to deal with high levels of empathic sensitivity in a non-reactive, compassionate way in those first few years.
Right. Okay. Yeah. You must have been through a lot since it began for you. You must have been.
Cultivated compassion and humility.
Yeah. Well, what if you had any advice for someone going through the same sort of awakening state? What would you say to them? What could you say?
There is a river of light that flows within you. And when you pull your awareness into this inner river of light using your inhale, your imagination, your breath, and like your life depends on it, your higher self and your energy fields, and you get in this inner river, column of light, front of spine, in your body, in that place you're going to find peace, connection, calm, the sound of your essence that is absolutely perfect and beautiful. And if you could spend 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes anchoring into that core energy that is you, and that's the only thing you need to attach to and love and be responsible for, that is going to save you so much heartache and suffering. It also decreases the empathic sensitivity, because if you're more attached to the vibration that flows within you and responsible for the vibration that you hold deep in your core, you're not going to have your paws out being a little kleptomaniac, grabbing everybody's stuff and wanting everybody to shift and come along with you.
Well, that can happen with some people, can't it? That they have these awakening moments and they want to tell everyone, and you can't, because we're all on unique journeys. you know, and we can't judge neither. Because there's a lot of people that aren't on the same wavelength, that are not awake. But that doesn't mean that they're not a super amazing spiritual being inside that's just incarnated for a little blip to have an experience as a human being and learn lessons on the way.
Absolutely. And I think of the spiritual journey simply as a 33,000 foot mountain. And when we're at 4,000 feet or kilometers, we are going to be using sneakers and a light sweater. When we're higher up on the mountain, we're going to have hiking boots and we're going to have a parka. And so to drag somebody who's lower on the mountain up, first of all, they're going to get altitude sickness. They're going to get pissed off at us. We're taking responsibility for their journey. We're actually bypassing a lot of steps that they are going to have to take at some point in time. And so when we recognize that wherever we are on the mountain is absolutely perfect for us, and then to hold compassion, love, and model a different energy to other people, wherever they are on the mountain, it's not good or bad. You've been there. And there are people above you and there are people below you, but it's not something to judge, but simply actually to accept and embrace.
The mountain. What a great analogy. Thank you for that. That's really great. I love that. Now, with concepts in the book and all the information that's in your book, that wasn't in you prior to 2001. So where has this information come from? Where has the text and the whole concept of your book come from, in a sense, would you say?
It was almost like a memory pill that I swallowed in 2001. And I remembered all of the moments that I had actually been prepping for this incarnation and previous incarnations that took me to this level of wisdom. And so when I was at a place in my life where I was supported, where it was safe for me to fully come into my power, that's when I swallowed that little pill and everything came online. And I remembered all of the years that I spent studying and training for this incarnation before I even got here.
Right.
And there was a lot of prep involved, a lot of study with a lot of wise beings on the other side.
Oh, I can imagine that red pill. It's a source of a lot of problems, I tell you. Yeah, we should have took the other one. But you can't go back. It's digested and you know, it's you've then remembered. You know, like you say, who you were or who you really are, who you truly are, maybe.
Absolutely.
Well, and very, very briefly as well. I mean, you talk about, and you've been asked this in many interviews. I'm sure you must have been, you know, about your team as well. Who is this team? Is this some ascended, sort of, as people talk about council members? You know, are these wise spiritual beings that are part of your overseeing council, in a sense? Your
team are beings of love and light that encircle you in another dimension. They're not fragments of your soul. They are just like me and you, and we're different, and we have our own personality. We've got our own gifts. And your team has actually been with you from day one. They may have actually journeyed with you for many, many incarnations, and you may take turns. Who's the monkey in the middle? Who's going to be in the physical dimension this time? And so you all have similar memories from previous incarnations when you journeyed together. Your team is at a similar level of consciousness. So we're not going to put little league soccer players with pro ball players. That's not going to make for a good soccer team. And so think of your team as beings who are on the same field at a similar level. Everybody has their own unique gifts. And you're all headed in a similar direction as well. And so when you start connecting with your team and actually inviting your team to buffer and support energy for you, oh my God, life gets lovely. Because 2015, planet Earth, just FYI, the majority of the people on the planet are not yet holding self-love and self-respect. It's a little rough. And so to have that buffer of beings around you in another dimension can positively, empathically impact you. You can ask your team before you even walk out the door in the morning to hold vibrations of self-love and gentleness and inner support and inner trust and compassion. And then all day long, you're getting vibed by these beings that are holding this lovely vibration around you.
Wow. Okay. And we don't need to know. Well, we probably can meditate to find out who our team are and go with that trust that the information we get through is who our team are. But it could be past family members. There's a lot of scenarios it could be, but these are people, like you say, that have worked with us, beings that have worked with us, who were there before we came here, who will be there when we pass back on.
Typically they are not ancestors, people of your lineage. They are souls that are with you, and your guides could be ancestors or archangels or ascended masters. So those guides are going to come and go, and that's when we might feel our grandmother giving us information. But we also want our guides, regardless of who they are, to not be attached to our journey and to model a particular energy. And I'm going to get out there a little bit because it is the alternative late night show. From my recollection, being on the other side, being a guide in my previous job description, sometimes guides got a little attached to helping the one in the physical dimension. But then the guide isn't holding a really strong energy field and modeling the solution. They're trying to do it for the person in the physical plane. And so when you are working with your guides, ask your guides to hold the solution of what your soul really needs to embody. And then you get positively, empathically, dimensionally affected.
Yes. What would you say is some of the most interesting information for yourself that you've brought back from the spirit side, in a sense, or home in a sense?
I would say that the key piece that I remind myself daily is that one of the reasons that we're here in the physical dimension isn't to do stuff in the physical plane. It's actually to make requests for the energy in a higher dimension to shift into greater states of coherence. So we're actually using our position in the physical dimension almost like a microphone. And when we ask for those energies in those higher realms to move into greater states of coherence, connection, love, and light, it happens to a far deeper degree than when we are on the other side making those requests. Because when you're in the physical dimension, you have density. And I also think of the physical dimension as a reflection of the higher realms. And so I've got this really great refined feedback loop because I'm in the physical body. When I make the request, I can feel, a little silkier, a little lighter, a little brighter, a little more expanded in that plane. Right there. Because I'm constantly checking and scanning. How does it feel there? How is it being reflected here? A little more there. Perfect. And so often we yearn to be on the other side. We yearn to be at the end of this incarnation. I just want to go home. But that's an indicator that we actually had the opportunity to make a request for an energy to shift that we wanted to shift before we even got here into the world.
Well, you're kind of saying there that actually being over here is actually healing those where we've come from, healing those in the spirit dimension.
Yeah. And healing the energy, like imagine another planet or a higher dimension that could hold more love and light and positively impact billions and millions of beings. And you make that request in the physical dimension for that coherence to occur. Amazing. But most of us forget when we come into the physical dimension that we really wanted to shift the energy on the other side.
Right. Okay. So that's different because a lot of times we get told that the spirit comes down here because it wants to have an experience. It wants to know the different,
Texture.
How do we know love if you don't have the chance to experience what love is not, in a sense? So it comes here to have multiple experiences which it can't experience on a feeling level, potentially where it comes from. This is just a theory, in a sense, of what it might be about. Are you saying that's different to your understanding of it?
No, that's an additional piece. So
Right.
the other reason that we come here into the world is that we incarnate in a physical body. But I don't think of ourselves as physical beings. We're just having actually an empathic experience of being in a human nature spirit body. It's almost like riding a horse. And we feel the horse underneath us, really around us. And this body has to receive 24/7 just to stay alive. It has to breathe just to stay alive. And so I am having an empathic experience of receiving. And so the entire time I'm in my body, I am learning how to receive to a deeper degree. So that when I do go back to the other side, I'm able to receive that light and that love to an even deeper degree. So I think it's all about
Right.
being in the
That's
receiving
incredible.
experience and having an empathic experience of a density and a texture that we don't get on the other
Yes.
side. We do feel on the other side, but not to the degree that we feel when we're in the physical plane, simply because of the density factor.
That's a really incredible bit of information that you've brought from the spirit world to over here, because that really makes a massive difference of why being here is so important.
Receive.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what about the ideas that, of manifestation, having the life that we want to have, of being of service, all these great things that it means to be human?
So
And
yeah, being of service is great if we're doing it in a co-creative, healthy way, as opposed to a codependent, spiritually arrogant way. And the other piece about manifesting is, from my perspective, there's 3 energies that affect our physical experience. We have the soul rider, me, front of spine, riding in the body. Then I've got my body, David, nature, spirit, human, horsey. It's way more than a horse. And then I've got my team standing around me in another dimension. And when all 3 of these energies, me, my body, and my team, hold a very particular vibration inside ourselves, then manifestation becomes evident. And we're also engaging in that energy, that activity, that vibration or quality in a higher realm as well, reflecting it down to ourselves here in the physical plane. And there is a saying, when 2 or more are gathered in the name of the nameless one, manifestation becomes evident. And from my perspective, the 2 or more is you, your body, and your team. In Christianity, they talk about the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. I reframed that and said, your soul, your body, your team. Father, Son, team, Holy Ghost. And so when we use the sacred Trinity to hold very particular vibrations and qualities in our core, we then create that in our outer world. And anytime you're trying to manifest something, I invite you to think about it more from a quality place, as opposed to, I want 50,000 million pounds in my bank account. Well, if I had that, how would I feel? I'd be happy and I'd feel free. Great. Activate that vibration of freedom and happiness in your divine line. Same for your body and team. Keep holding it, receiving it, embracing it. Feel yourself in a higher realm, fully living in that free, happy state. And it will start to reflect and ripple into the physical plane.
But that doesn't mean you're going to receive that money. That experience of that feeling that you're looking for, that you're so aligned with in that moment because you've realized what it is, it might come in some other
Absolutely.
form. Of what,
yeah.
Yeah.
It might come in the form of a beloved who has a plenty of money and you're totally supported. And maybe it's not your money, but you're free and happy. Who knows? Who cares? Focus more on the quality.
Okay. So, yeah, I suppose, you can't have that which you don't know what you want. I mean, that's always been my biggest issue just recently. I've just not known what I want. So it's like, well, the universe can't deliver what it doesn't know what you want. I mean, it seems to only know one word, which is yes. But then even though being in that space, it hasn't stopped me from, having abundance. Do you know what I mean?
I do. And you may have been thinking about, what do I want in the outer world? Instead of thinking, what do I want in my inner world? How do I want to feel every day of my life? What baseline do I want to have? Do I want to have peace and calm? Do I want to have an inner joy? Do I want to have an inner clarity or empowerment? Focus more on that and then see what comes. And that
Yes.
piece about, well, the universe delivering it to you, well, it's actually you bringing it to you by connecting with that energy deep inside, and then that moves you into greater empowerment and out of the victim. I say that with all the love in my heart.
No, very wise stuff. Very wise information you've got. Yeah, I've got to say that the connections that you've got to bring the information that you've brought through, it's very wise. What type of people does this are you normally attracting in your work?
I would say people who have gotten to their breaking point. They don't want to suffer anymore, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to get out of that. I typically don't work with people who are really, really linear, like engineers, mathematicians, accountants, people that need to have it scientifically proven and documented. this work probably won't work for them in the beginning. Although I have had a lot of people who do operate from that linear place, and they will listen to my meditations for a year or 2 years, and their mind has no idea what I'm talking about. They think I'm actually speaking Greek. And then after about 2 years of just energetically listening, not listening with the mind, then they start to feel the shifts, and then they start to get it. And so I would say that I work really well with people who have ADD, dyslexia, dimensionally gifted, people that are artists, that are more in the intuitive, the right brain. People that meditate maybe, but sometimes when we meditate, we go into that linear alpha data state, and we just want to be counting our breaths and focusing on what we can control.
Well, great. I tick all those boxes, so that's that's okay then. When you're connecting, and we will move on here, but when you're connecting as well, just for others to get a, if they need to do this themselves as well, when you're connecting with that spirit side, with home, however you want to personify it, are you doing that through meditation?
I think of life as a meditation. The only variable is how much am I holding my awareness in my inner river of light, which is my dimensional world. And when I'm in my divine line, front of spine, then I immediately gain access to my higher self. And so within a breath to 2 breaths, I just did it, I'm pulling myself into that inner place. And then I'm holding the awareness that I have an energy self that is existing in another dimension. And using my energy self, I can then gather the appropriate information, connect with my guides, connect with that vibration of home, the angelic choir, whatever it might be. And it's all about receiving at an energetic level, not with the mind. As soon as I energetically get it, digest it, then my mind and my emotional field understand.
So you would say that you've lived your work?
I live my work. And I've been testing it literally in the field for over a decade and have seen my own life completely transform. I've seen the lives of my clients completely transform, usually within 3 to 5 years of using the tools. 7 years at the most, if somebody's using it. It's not something that works, in 30 seconds. But at the same time, the question is, even if nothing in the outer world changes, how do you want to be inside yourself the rest of the time you're here in this world?
That is so true. And I would say the majority want to be at peace.
Yeah. So invite the higher self to activate the vibration of peace, sit on a bump on a log, wait for it to happen, and let yourself feel the ripple.
I love the way you put that. Yeah.
It's not hard. It's just about knowing where to make the request and then letting it happen.
Yeah, and we must say there's links on the screen right now to your book, but we'll also put links on there to the audio CDs as well. Well, audio files. These are MP3s. Are these free for the general public?
So if you buy the book, in the book there is actually a link that you can go to. You enter in your email address just once, and it automatically then takes you to a page where you get 14 audio meditations that go with the book, no extra charge. I have
Wonderful.
Images of all of the terms that I'm talking about. I have a YouTube about how to surf your waves of emotion to higher ground. And starting tomorrow night, October 22nd, I'm starting a live online book circle. And we're going to do 8 of them over the course of 2 months. And I'm going to be diving deeper into the concepts and answering people's questions. And all of that is included in the price of the book.
That's a very, very clever idea. And that'll be live streamed, will it?
Yes, live and then recorded. So as soon as you enter your email address to get those online resources, you actually automatically get an account set up from my website, aleyadao.com. And in your library, you will have all of the recordings from the 7 Cups book circle that you can access at any point in time.
Excellent. Well, we've like I say, just go to your website, and there'll be links on the website on the homepage for that. Okay, then. Obviously, the 7 cups of consciousness is obviously a key thing here. Just very briefly, what are the 7 cups of consciousness?
The first cup is you live in a multidimensional reality. Physical dimension is just the first floor. And tapping into these other floors gives you access to a lot of resources of support. The second cup is you're never alone. You have teams, guides, angels around you that can support you in your journey. The third cup is all about changing your inner world using your higher self. The fourth cup is using your challenges to grow, practicing what you intend to master instead of the opposite. The fifth cup is your body deva is a nature spirit. You are riding in the body, you're not the body, and it has its own unique consciousness and is also in a process of its own evolution. The sixth cup talks about the idea that over many lifetimes, or just this lifetime, depending on your belief systems, you have cultivated very particular gifts, wisdom, and mastery. And it's all about using your gifts on yourself and modeling that in the world. And the seventh cup, you are perfect. There is a river of light that flows within you. And as you bring yourself into your divine line, you will experience deep connection, peace, and you are whole.
You know, I said to you off air as well, thank you for that, by the way. Yeah. I said to you off air about that things that were in the book have come through on my channeling. And I had a few aha moments when that happened. I was like, wow, that's what they've told me as well. Right. For example, just roughly, that where they are in the dimension that they're in, and there's infinitive dimensions apparently, that they are trying to work it out themselves. There is no answers. Yes, they have answers, don't get me wrong. I mean, there is no war where they're at. I mean, that's a sign of spiritual evolution, yeah? But they're still trying to work it out, what it all means.
Absolutely.
And I saw that in the book, and I just thought, well, yeah, that's kind of what I've been taught as well. And who would have thought that?
Right. Beautiful.
You know, I mean, yeah, but you'd have thought, though, wouldn't you, that if something's gone through all these lifetimes and it's always going back between life phase, and wanting to come back, that there would have been some sort of major evolution, which there is, but not to a point where we would have thought it's almost like godlike in a sense.
Well, it's more like the mystery and the curiosity of how am I going to reflect my light when I'm in this dimension, holding this perspective on this planet, in this time-space continuum. It's like, what's that going to look like? And so I really think that our journey is inspired from that place of curiosity of what is my light going to look like as I reflect it in these different environments.
Yeah.
And then the journey of remembering ourselves. I don't think I talk about this in the book, but I talk about Mind the Gap. Taking a little something from London. And it's the piece of an ascended master remembers themselves on their inhale, forgets themselves as they reflect themselves on their exhale, and then they remember themselves to a deeper degree on their next inhale. And so when we are in a process of spiritual growth and evolution, the journey is how many breaths are there between the remembering and the forgetting? And the remembering and the forgetting is actually a mechanism for growth and evolution. Because every time I forget myself, when I remember myself again, I remember to a deeper degree. And often souls will be willing to forget themselves for 20 or 30 or 50 or 60 or 80 years. The bigger the gap, the bigger the rush on the remembering. And so what we want to do in our growth and evolution is stop chasing the rush and start remembering ourselves with the shorter gap.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very, very wise. Very, very wise. And just jumping on to the next one as well, you're never alone. I mean, that's a big one for some people because, they see an empty house that they may be living by themselves and, they feel this is it. But actually, if they could just see with different eyes, at a different frequency, they'd see that actually there's loads of people around them. They just are unaware of it.
Yeah. When my husband goes out of town, I'm like, team, guides, party night, everybody come. And so, it's almost like when you're alone, that's when you're going to have the big gathering party. And you can spend the whole night chatting it up and talking and light the candles and make it a sacred space.
That's right. Embracing your soul's gifts, that's a great one as well in the 7 Cups. We all have unique gifts, don't we? We all have a calling. Not one gift is the same.
Right. And the way to really identify what your soul's gifts are is to think about the vibration or the quality that you really value. Do you value respecting people or listening to people or being patient or kind or in integrity? And when you identify what you value, then you recognize that you've actually cultivated that deep inside and that that is one of your gifts. And when we hold our gifts, feel them, receive them, allow ourselves to be supported by them, all of the resources in the outer world start reflecting how we are receiving our own gifts. So we increase support as we use our gifts to support ourselves.
And it may be, the job you've got now. That may be your gift.
And everybody starts celebrating you every day you come into work.
Exactly. Or it may be something completely different. It may be something you're doing part-time. That's what something you... Would you say your gift is the same as your passion?
It can be. Definitely. It definitely can be the same. Mm-hmm.
Yep, and again, only you can resonate in your gut with what that may be as well. So yeah, to definitely go with your soul's gift, and the final one as well. You are perfect.
You are perfect.
That's
But
so
can I
important.
share one piece about the gift piece? Because so many people are looking
please.
for their soul's purpose of like, what am I doing here in this world? And when I work with my clients and subscribers, trying to help people identify what their purpose is in the world, is what we want to do is we want to invite our energy self, our higher self, to energetically locate a dimension of floor where we are being of service 100% in the most beautiful, limitless way. Easy, joyful, fun. Let your energy self fully engage in your passion, your wisdom, and your mastery on that higher floor for a few days, a week, a month, a year. Inevitably, that higher dimensional reality is going to reflect here into the physical plane, and you will be naturally pulsed into the appropriate behavior and action.
There's some deep words there. There's some meaningful content as well. Wow. Okay. Yes, yes. Absolutely. And as we've just said as well about the gift, just saying it again, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be entertaining, making people laugh, whatever. But yeah, everything you've just said there, I completely agree with. And again, just moving on to the final one as well, you are perfect.
And we talked about that a little bit earlier of using your inhale, your intent, your imagination, like your life depends on it, to pull yourself into this inner river. And when you start meeting your needs internally in here, valuing the light that flows within you, loving it, embracing it, everyone starts to reflect that to you. And when we do recognize that we do have the capacity to be fulfilled internally, our outer life starts getting really fulfilling. But it's not because we were looking externally for it. We were finding it internally in that inner river where you are absolutely perfect. And I was actually having a conversation with my niece the other day. And she said, well, I'm not perfect. No one is. And I said, oh, sweetie, well, you are perfect, but you're only perfect in your inner river of light. Can you see that light flowing within you? Unfortunately, I've been working with her since she was 2. And she goes, yeah. And I said, well, that light is perfect and exquisite, and it's the only place you need to be perfect. And so when we start to anchor that in, we stop looking for validation externally, and our confidence increases, as well as our self-love.
Yeah, and I suppose, what country as well that the soul incarnates into, and what religious background it's got, and what the family circumstances are all going to determine how it comes to that point. How the soul can really recognize what you're saying as well as truth, if that makes sense. What I'm saying.
It does, and I don't think of these 7 concepts as anything new. I'm just reframing them and trying to give them a very 3D, tactile, practical way of connecting with ancient truths that all of us already know. We already know these things, and so I'm simply reminding and then giving really practical steps of, okay, step 1, do this. Now connect with this. Now, do you feel that? You got it. And then we're tapping into our own wisdom and carry on. And so really the 7 Cups is just a framework to put everything that you work with already into. Just a reminder, a trigger.
Yes, absolutely. And For a soul, though, that's in a certain situation, family and other situations, where it never remembers what it is in a lifetime, and you've kind of touched on this as well, that must be pretty hard for it sometimes when it's going through so much pain as well, if that's what it is doing. Yet it's never really found the light to see it all from a different perspective.
Yeah, if you're in a place of suffering because of your environment, your outer environment, your body, your belief systems, your religion, your ancestors, all of the demands upon you externally. Step one, recognize it. Recognize that you are in the mud pit and you are thrashing. Allow yourself to receive that experience, which is probably giving you strength. When you stop resisting the struggle, the pain, the discomfort, then you actually activate the vibration that your soul is hell-bent and determined to attain. And as soon as you get that vibration going on in your divine line, the outer struggles immediately start to change. It's inevitable because you're changing internally. And so acceptance, and then embrace the vibration of the solution that you're really determined, and then the outer changes start to happen.
So as you've said in your book as well, the real solution is, it's right here. It's, it's within your grasp, as you would say.
Yeah, you're the only one that can do it. No one else can do it for you. And if somebody does do it for you, eventually you're going to have to do it for yourself. And so from my perspective, I never do anything to another person. I'm simply holding a compassionate, safe space for them to be in whatever they need to be in. As soon as someone feels that compassionate, safe space, they automatically start connecting to their own healing source and they start shifting themselves. I'm also modeling the solution of what I think might help them, but I'm not projecting it upon them. I'm creating a strong, coherent field of transformation. And then we move into greater degrees of empowerment with our process. And there's a big part in the book about taking personal responsibility for your reality. And I know that that's a really big nugget to swallow. But from my perspective, I'm a little bit of an energetic prima donna. I don't like being uncomfortable. And so do I want to take personal responsibility, or do I want to thrash like a victim? I think I'm going to take the personal responsibility empowerment one. So it's a choice.
Well, yeah.
It's a choice.
Well, but that's such an important statement, that is, to take that personal responsibility and not to be victim or blame other people as well. But just getting back to it as well, because obviously we're getting near the end here, but, to find happiness, calm, fulfillment, peace, obviously you talk about, the trick is to see what your energy is telling you. And I'm guessing when you say energy, you're talking about, well, you could use the word, what your gut feelings telling you in a sense.
Yeah.
How do you get in tune with your gut feeling if you've lost that connection, or you've always ignored it?
Well, you have to pause. You do have to take a breath. And then you have to take your awareness off of the outer world and into the inner world of, how is my body feeling? Are my shoulders tense? Am I clenching my jaw? Do I have anxiety deep in my core? What do I really want? So we cultivate self-awareness by slowing down, bringing the awareness internal, doing a little inner check-in. Where's the fuel gauge, right? Am I on empty? Am I full? Am I halfway? And then, because you have that self-awareness, you're able to then make an appropriate request to shift the energy into what you want. But you have to ask the question, okay, if I'm anxious, how do I really want to feel? Do I want to sit in this anxiety? Or do I want to feel peaceful and calm? I think I'm going to go with peace and calm. Okay, higher self, activate peace and calm. And if this anxiety that I'm feeling isn't even mine, I'm going to send it back to whomever it is, along with the appropriate information, and I'm going to model peace and calm to whomever I was just empathically feeling. And so at the end of the book, I talk about how to deal with empathic sensitivity, because 70 to 80% of what we are challenged by is not even our own. And we can only shift our own issues. We cannot shift another person's issues. So when we start returning pieces that aren't ours, we're going to stop stealing, and we're going to start taking personal responsibility for just our internal reality. Life gets lovely.
Yeah. being in California as well, and I sort of experienced a bit of life in Los Angeles. It's very much about, are they seeing me? I'm here, yeah. Look at me. I'm going to make it here. This is where I'm going to, become recognized and hit the big time. And a lot of people don't, because that's not their calling. They're where they need to be at the moment, but it's not what their bigger picture is. How do we cope with that sometimes, where we want to help do something different, we want to take on the world, we want to make big changes, we want to go and do these huge things, but life doesn't have that path for us sometimes?
Well, if you desire it, that's an indicator there is a potential contract for it. And step one would be to invite your energy self to actually deliver the message in a higher realm to billions and billions of people on the planet. Be as great of service as you possibly can in the dimension where you actually have the capacity to. And then whatever shows up in the physical dimension is simply a reflection of the work you're doing up high. So we get to use our desires, but then make them real in a higher plane and let go of the attachment of what shows up in the physical. Because as we know, attachment only slows things down. So if you're more attached to the service work that you're doing in this higher floor, that's inevitably going to create the reflection appropriately.
Yeah, this may sound a bit crazy what I'm about to say now, but just with what
Hardly.
you're saying as well.
Right.
Well, are you kind of saying, like, okay, so if I want to be, make some big make some big change in the world, do something amazing, really I could project that imagination to the spirit world in a sense and start there.
Well, you would ask your
set...
higher self to implement the more show at a galactic Earth planetary level. If you want to go galactic, go galactic. If you want to just be on planet Earth, you would basically be transmitting your show to 7 billion strong. And anybody that wants to receive it will receive the information to the degree that they choose. So you're already famous.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, of course.
But here's the other piece. The other piece is to retrieve all responsibility for being validated and seen off of everyone and everything. And you get to hold full responsibility for validating and seeing your own light, your own wisdom. Because so often we want to share our gifts with others. We want other people to see us. But if we are not holding total responsibility for receiving our own gifts, seeing our own light, validating ourselves, appreciating ourselves, then we're not going to create it in the outer world.
Oh, that is so true. And also, all we get in this reality is rejection.
Yep.
Rejection of gifts. I mean, I've had that with channeling, just recently.
Right.
Where people just poop. Not poo-poo it, but
Can't receive it.
those in the spiritual arena. Those who are in that, who just laugh at it, or will not believe that this is a real experience for you. So I think it's true what you're saying. To project in that sense to the spirit world what you're doing, and then let go of anything in this dimension.
Absolutely.
And then whatever comes to you. Is can only be good,
right?
Because you've gone down to you've had, it's kind of like soul healing in a sense what you're doing there.
Yeah, I'm a soul intuitive.
Soul intuitive, right? Okay.
And I will share just a quick little piece. And if I think
Please.
of my primary job every single day in another dimension is to tone. To create a beautiful, exquisite, harmonic, vibrational tone for Earth. She is my boss. That's who I work for. And so every day, I give her a sweet little tone to help balance and stabilize. There's no ego involved. I know how to do this with my hands tied behind my back and my eyes closed. She receives it, appreciates it, great. I don't really care if anybody else does. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just that my real work has been done. And so then I get to use the physical dimension and maybe even the higher realms to do what supports that work in the higher realms that is most important to me. No attachment.
Yeah. I think I get your work. I get it. It's all about, there's other reasons why we come here maybe, and it may be just as important really to heal us on that side hence the reason why we come here.
Yeah.
So really, we're just projecting back to ourselves.
Yeah.
Everything we're doing.
The work we do in the physical realm is so, I don't want to say not important, but the work we're doing in the higher realms is mind-blowing, awe-inspiring, and so much more important than the physical plane. Just use the physical plane as the anchor to do the work in the higher realms.
It's true what you're saying, because we don't really tend to stay around here too long, do we? So it can't be that great. We always seem to pass on at in our 80s, and it's not that long, really, is it?
No,
when you think about it.
Fast.
So it can't be that great here. We might, but joking aside, in that bigger picture scheme, but it is important to be here because, we're not advocating suicide or anything like that. I think you can't. You have a contract to be here. I mean, it's up to you if you want to leave, but you did agree to yourself to come here as well. So
and
I'm sure
you can do more work in the higher realms when you're in the physical plane.
Amazing.
Way more work.
That is a really aha moment to myself, and I hope it is to the audience out there as well. I mean, not many people in this field go down that line. That is really empowering.
I thank the angelic realm for reminding me.
Yeah, well, you're definitely bringing in some fantastic information, and I'd highly recommend getting the book as well. And of course, there is the free downloads for the audio on there as well. And if you haven't heard any of your previous audio, then if you just go to your website, there are links on there, I believe.
Yes, and anybody can get a free trial week of the Daily Cups. They're audio meditations that I record, and I tune into the energetic weather coming onto the planet and record these little meditations to help you in your growth and evolution.
Okay. And we've already kind of answered this, but what would you say then is I think we've answered this. I was going to ask you, what would you say is the most important message of your work? We have already answered that in a sense, but what would be your final message to the audience?
Fall in love with the light that flows within you. Be most attached to that and model that in the world.
There you go, everyone. Well, listen, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today. You've helped remind me of a few important things, and everyone else, so we really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's a deep honor.
Well, we've come to an end on tonight's show. Don't forget that you can listen and watch all our past interviews on The More Show's official YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for new daily shows. You may also find out more on all past and upcoming guests on the show via themoreshow.co.uk, and do like us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest updates. So until next time, be safe.